will be a bit of a mouthful. Trust and clarity in communication, the limbo state, what it is and how to use it. You will, I ask, excuse me if I am a little bit long-winded this evening, but these things require a little bit of clarification and redefinition. Now that many of you are going through the types of changes that you are going through, now that you are experiencing different levels of energy within your consciousness, we can now define in ways that we have not defined them before some of the terminologies that we have used in our discussions with you in the past, so that you will have perhaps a more precise insight into what we meant when we used certain terminologies. For always understand there are many levels, many dimensions, many different points of view to the semantics of any particular definition or word that we may use in your language, which may not necessarily be accurately representative of the way we mean the terminology when we use it. So let us first talk about the idea of trust and clarity in communication. One of the primary, shall we say, problems or difficulties that we have observed in your civilization has to do simply with the communication between yourselves, as to why there are many negative feelings, negative interactions, negative outcomes. A lot of it is simply hinged not so much on the idea that there actually is an insurmountable problem, but simply that your ability to communicate the idea is not necessarily as effective as it could be, not as direct, not as honest as it could be, because you have in the past created yourself to be a society that has, in a sense, cloaked itself in so many layers of consciousness, so many layers of interpretation and symbology. Individuals, whether they use the same words or not, do not always obviously understand what another individual means by what they say. We simply herewith put forth a simple suggestion, and it has to do with trust, trusting that you, each and every one of you, are only attracting into your experiential reality those interactions which do benefit to you, and are attracting yourself to other individuals in such a way that you do benefit to them. In trusting that this is the foundational reason for why you find yourself interacting, for why you find yourself communicating with anyone, you can use the following approach, which may allow a little more clarity to take place in your conversations in the future. If you can allow yourselves to trust that the other individual always has the best intention going into the conversation, then you can assist them in clarifying what they mean. You can assist yourself and allow them to assist you and themselves in clarifying what you mean. If you simply take it for granted that what they say, no matter how it may sound to what you have been taught, what they say is meant in the best possible way. So that if something for some reason sounds, shall we say, strange, off-kilter, or funny to you, or perhaps negative to you, perhaps you can stop the conversation and simply suggest, now I trust that you had the best of intentions, the most positive intention behind what it is you are saying. Therefore, I know that even though I heard it this way, perhaps, just maybe, you meant this. Is that what you meant? Oh yes, that's what I meant. Thank you for clarifying that so we would not have a misunderstanding. Always, it is our suggestion, go for the trust of the intention behind what is said, rather than allowing yourself to be marionetted around by the words as they sound, as you have been taught to think they sound, what you have been taught to think they mean. Find out what they really do mean by shooting, as you say, aiming, as you say, for the intention of the communication rather than the clothing in which the communication is wrapped. Do not react to the clothing. Allow yourself to search, to seek the intention itself. Assist another individual by letting them know what they have said does to you, how you are reacting. Let them know how you are interpreting what they say, and ask them if they truly meant that, or if they truly meant something else. Allow yourself to develop a commonality of trust based on your understanding that every individual, no matter how they approach it, no matter how they cloak it, no matter where they come from nor when, generally speaking, in some portion of their consciousness, intends that what they have to share can be used constructively, can be used to add to the overall creativity of your combined reality. Beginning to approach it from that point of view will allow you very quickly to discern the intention behind the communication, to know whether it is truly positive or negative, and to allow you less misunderstanding, so that you will not be so offended by the different portions of your consciousness that you are afraid to face. The different portions of your consciousness that you fear that may have been brought to the surface by something someone said, simply because it was reflected in a certain way, because a certain nuance was given that was not necessarily representative of what that individual meant, but perhaps is what you needed to hear so that you could face that certain portion of yourself now that it has been brought to the surface by that particular nuance. Allow yourself always to understand that any conversation you are having with someone else is an echo of the things that you are only telling yourself you need to hear in many different ways. Examine and explore them, unconditionally, unbiased in that way, openly, trusting that what you are attracting, in some way, shape, or form, has an intention behind it that matches your own, the overall intention of the support and the added accelerative creativity of your entire civilization. Just a suggestion. Now, the limbo state, what it is and how we use it. We have discussed this idea of a limbo state many times with you. Generally, in the conversations that we have had, most individuals will assume that when we say limbo state, what we are referring to is that time or those times in your life when it seems you have done all you can possibly do, and now you are floating. You are at, as you say, stalemate. No particular direction makes itself more apparent than any other direction. You do not necessarily have a particular momentum or an impetus to move in any one particular way more than another. You seem to be at a standstill. For one reason or another, sometimes you cannot necessarily fathom the reason. Sometimes you think you can. Sometimes you don't want to know. But the idea of the limbo state has a more precise and, in a sense, a much more profound definition that we have up to this point not necessarily shared with you. We will do so now. The idea, generally, as we perceive your consciousness, has been perceived as meaning thus: a state in which you must now wait for something to happen, having done all you can possibly do, and there is no more you can do. Now you are floating in a limbo state to see what falls out of all the things you have set up. You are now, in a sense, coasting. All right, all of these are, shall we say, real definitions, but they do not touch the essence, the mechanics, the structure of what that waiting is all about. The idea can perhaps be best explained by going back to another analogy that we have discussed many times, and that is simply called the film strip analogy. We have talked about the idea that different moments in time are discrete, as your scientists say, quantized. That is, every single moment is its own now universe, and the next moment is a completely different reality altogether. And whatever it is at any given moment that you decide you are will utterly determine what the next moment will be shaped like, in a sense. How you will experience that next moment. And one moment does not have to be connected to the next until you impose upon that frame and upon that entire the idea that there must be continuity, one leading to the other. We have talked about the idea that your life and your many lives are like the frames upon a strip of your film, one frame at a time, one life at a time. In linear time, it seems they come one after another, but that's the nature of your physical reality. From the point of view of the projectionist, shall we say, hypothetically, all the frames exist right now. Your entire life is there all at once. All your lives, all the frames are there all at once. And from the point of view of the hypothetical projectionist, which is the same as your higher self, your oversoul, any frame can be viewed at any moment in any order, regardless of the way you think you have to view it in linear time, A to Z. Doesn't have to be that way. Now, this idea of the limbo state can be looked at two ways. Again, the negative way, and of course the positive way, just as anything can be looked at from one side or the other. The way we have perceived that your society generally has interpreted what we meant by limbo state is the negative idea. And this is not meant as a derogatory statement. Simply that. The negative way to look at this is to view the following analogy. Let us say you are looking at your life as a strip of film running through the projector and playing out on the screen at a certain speed. Most of you, when you talk about the standstill limbo state, when things do not seem to be happening, usually look at this as the product of the film somehow slowing down, going into a static state, when all of a sudden you are focused on one frame, and you don't know when the film is going to start up again. The idea of looking at the limbo state as if your life has slowed down, in a sense, is the negative way to look at it. Let's look at it from the positive point of view, because understand, you will get the same effect, the focus on one apparent moment, the now moment. If you understand that the film is still going at high speed, but that you have accelerated. Your ability to perceive the frames has accelerated and sped up to match the speed of the film. You are now going as fast as the film. It is what you call in your reality a stroboscopic effect. You have, many of you, seen the idea that when something is moving, such as falling water, and you place a strobe light upon it, you can freeze the action and allow one drop of that falling water to seem to remain suspended in the air before you. In a sense, this is what many of you are now doing. You are accelerating your perceptive abilities up to the speed of your creations. And so it seems as if things are standing still. Seems as if they have slowed down and nothing is happening. But understand, there is a very profound difference in how you look at this. Because if you look at it as if your life is slowed down, if the film is slowed down, then you usually wait around for something to happen and do not take action, do not move in your life. However, if you understand that the only reason things seem to be standing still is because you have simply caught up to the speed of your creation, then you can understand that that point of view is now a point of power, because you are in perfect equilibrium with the rate that you are creating your reality. And what this means is as follows. When you are in perfect equilibrium with the rate, the speed at which you are creating your reality moment by moment by moment by moment, then that means that everything around you is moving at the same rate, and that means that inertia is balanced, and nothing has more ability or less ability to be moved by you in the direction you prefer. They all have the same rate of speed. You are all moving parallel, synchronized to each other, and therefore there is no great inertia to overcome, because your motion relative to each other, you and the events in your life, are now moving at the same pace, and you can gently push them in any direction you want to. This, in a sense, is the quote-unquote secret of what you call your martial arts. What you call a master of the martial arts will tell you, basically, that the reason that a small, seemingly weak person can move a seemingly stronger, large person in any direction they want to is that at one particular moment, in the action of the movement of the large person toward the smaller one matches the speed of the larger person, and at that moment they are exactly equal in inertia. At that moment, no one is moving relative to the other person, and therefore it is a very simple thing to allow that person to move in any direction the smaller person wishes to, because there is nothing to overcome. No mass, no momentum to overcome. Everything is moving at the same pace and can interact with each other any way they want to. So this limbo state, this time of seeming standstill now, when it seems as if you have done all you can do, is actually the time when things can happen most magically, most quickly. And the only reason it may not seem to be doing so is because you're standing there waiting for something to happen. Allow yourself to begin to look at the limbo state from this point of view. Truly see your point of power. Understand that you are simply now pacing, simply synchronizing the rate, the literal rate at which your consciousness is creating the moments of your reality. Each and every moment is a discrete moment, a discrete definition, a discrete reality. They all flicker one after another at an astonishing rate, so fast it seems to be. Your physical reality seems to be an unbroken continuum of time. But it isn't. It is discrete moments, discrete definitions. And when you find you are floating in that limbo state, you are at the point of power to allow any factor, any event in your reality to move in the direction and in the style you prefer it to. All you have to do when you arrive at that point is act in the direction you prefer to. Act in the manner you prefer to. Act as the representation of the reality you prefer to have. Things will happen synchronistically in your life immediately, falling into place immediately. The only thing that would cause you to hesitate is perhaps, and I do not say this to set you up, the only thing that would cause you to hesitate is perhaps when you see that when you're at that state, it is so easy to create the reality you want that some of you may be afraid of the power you finally realize you have and back off a bit from it. Because you will realize in that moment how powerful you actually are. The creation of your day-to-day reality is second nature to you. You are so powerful in doing it that you have been able to forget that you are the creators of that experiential reality. That's how easy it comes to you. It is so easy that you've been able to overlook that you are responsible for the creation of that reality. It comes so easily. Every single second, every single moment, you are exercising choice of what you believe is the most likely reality to manifest in that moment. Every single moment. That's how powerful you are. When you allow yourself to begin to match the rate at which you are creating that reality, you will feel like you are standing still, because you are traveling at infinite speeds. And when you move at infinite speeds, you are everywhere at once. And when you're everywhere at once, it's like you're standing perfectly still. Because the only way you get a sense of the motion is when you have a relative measurement between your reality and what you are calling another reality. If you know all realities, all events, all creations are equal to you because they come from you, when you allow them to all achieve that equilibrium, then you're all, shall we say, falling at the same rate. Nothing moves faster, nothing moves slower, and you can move the pieces around effortlessly because they're all gliding. All together, one event, one idea. And you begin to see all the events in your life truly as extensions of yourself. And I am not speaking figuratively, I am not speaking philosophically. I am speaking physically, mechanically, literally. You are the creators of your reality. The limbo state, what you have called the limbo state, is your point of power. It is living in the present, in the now. You are, shall I say, allegorically, about that far away from having everything you want. All you have to do is go that extra little step. And of course, for many of you, and again, not to set you up, that last little step is the most difficult. Because, simply, you have been taught over and over and over and over again, it can't be that easy. I can't be that powerful, but you are, because you are aspects and reflections of creation. You are made in the image of God. To be made in that image is to be an echo of God. And in that sense, you are that powerful. You are creation itself. You are, in that sense, the dreams of God, the hands of God, the instruments, the tools, as all beings in creation are. You are, as well as we are, all the different ways that the creation has of expressing itself within the creation it is. It is your nature. It is the very fabric of your existence to be the power itself. You do not have to develop a swollen ego to recognize that. You can allow yourself to be at balance with all things, and to still at the same time know that because you are at balance with all things, everything is an extension of you and will move in the direction that you allow it to. Because you say so. Because that's your job. As aspects of the infinite, in a sense, to put this colloquially, you are given the responsibility to create your immediate reality in the fashion you desire. That's why you have free will. Just as a side note, and just referring to some conversations that we have had with a few of you from time to time, and again, in no way are we, in your vernacular, putting anyone down, but it seems quite contradictory to us that there are members of your society who insist that creation instilled free will within you, and then should at the same time seek to control your lives with its will. You have free will because you have complete and utter free will. You can create any reality you desire. That is being made in the image of God. Act as such, and you will have heaven on your earth. Guaranteed. Remember, the present is your point of power. And in the limbo state, you are not waiting. You are not at a standstill. You are at infinite speeds. Move in the direction you prefer, and all will automatically, synchronistically fall into place. I guarantee it. And you will have a life of ecstasy. And remember, there is no such thing as something that is too good to be true or too good to last. Ecstasy is what you are made of. It is the highest energy of creation, reflected and represented through your physical form. Live as it, because you are made of living life. You are ecstasy itself. Of this, our civilization has no doubt. And once again, we simply remind you, because we love you, that no matter what you choose to think of yourselves, we will always believe in you. You can create any reality you desire, and we will be with you no matter what type of reality you choose to create. But the type of reality you choose to create will determine exactly how we are able to interact with you. Not that interaction with us is the most important thing in your lives. You are the most important thing in your lives. It is simply that as you recognize that you can serve each other and create a reality of joy, then you open to us the invitation that is necessary for us to have from you, so that we can interact with you and together blend our race and your race into a larger civilization that can continue to explore creation in ecstatic ways forever. For there is no end to it, at least no end that we have ever found in the thousands of years of the thousands of civilizations that have explored creation. There has never been found even the minutest inkling of an end. As far as we are concerned, there never will be. And we rejoice in any opportunity that you will give us to share creation with you. But only if you are willing to be fully who and what you truly are. For if you are not, then it is not with you that we will be interacting. but only with your idea of what you think you ought to be. Only with your own illusions and perhaps delusions of self. We prefer, in your terminology, the genuine article. Because we know the genuine article of you are creative beings, spontaneous beings, loving beings, that can create anything they desire, including heaven on earth. We thank you for allowing us to run off at the mouth this way. Or shall I say, allowing me to run off at the channel's mouth. In return for the gift that you have given us, allowing us to share and taste of your consciousness, in return for that loving gift, I will ask you now, in what way may I be of service to you? Begin sharing, so that all may share as well. Good day to you.
Yes, everyone, please speak up, every speaker.
Shivai. Shivai. One moment. Shivai is a word in our ancient language which we no longer use, the language that is. And Shivai simply represents the principle that you would perhaps most colloquially boil down to saying, go for it. The idea simply is that in our civilization, when an individual had a focus, had a dream, they did not allow themselves to allow anything to stop them. They went straight ahead, moved straight ahead, as what you would call in a warrior way, with clear vision, clear intention, clear direction. And if there seemed to be a situation where they needed, as you would say, perhaps some space to be who they were, then the individual that was on that particular path would simply at that moment say, Shivai, and all other beings would stand out of the way to allow them the broadest and clearest possible path to reach and attain the goal they desire. So Shivai, continue.
I'd also like to say that it works in our...
Yes.
Their vibration is higher. Their technology in that sense is more advanced. But those that will be the first to make contact, many of them will actually be, as we said, some of the children that exist that were created that many of you are actually genetically connected to. And their vibration will be such that you will be able to handle it by the time the connection is made, because your frequency will be high enough. The children will then act like step-up transformers, that your relationship with them and the initial ones of the Yael and Shalanaya will be of such a vibration so as to act as a buffering mechanism and a step-up transformer to elevate your frequency to be ready to receive higher vibratory beings in time.
I see. And are there attributes or types of training that individuals can go through now that would make them more in a position to be beneficial?
Only the type of training that we have just discussed and always recommended, and that is acting on your highest passion to make sure that your vibration is as high as it possibly can be, so there will be no conflict or resistance to the idea of meeting a vibration that is also on a high frequency domain.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. Thank you, Bashar.
Thank you. And yes, it is full of wonder.
Hi, Bashar.
And are you a good day?
I have 3 questions.
1, 2, 3.
Great. So I'm currently exploring a series of books called the Ringing Cedar series.
All right.
They are written about a Russian woman named Anastasia.
Yes.
Are you familiar with her? Or
Just proceed.
So they present some interesting concepts.
Such as?
The idea that living in nature and gardening is would bring us closer to our highest destiny, our highest calling.
In many ways, this is so, because it reconnects you to your natural self, and your natural self is of an extremely high frequency.
Yes. So one of the questions that I want to ask you, in the book, in the first book, she talks about sex, and you discussed it a little bit last night, so
yes.
I wanted to just ask some more questions about it.
All right.
The concept that she's explaining is that it's, as humans, we should only use sex to procreate.
Why?
Because it any other use of it is extraneous. I don't know.
Extraneous. Why?
I guess you'd have to ask her. So last night when you were talking about sex, you talked about it bringing us closer to our highest.
The only thing that makes it extraneous is when there is not clear communication of all parties in a relationship and clear consent to participate in like vibration. If that is not what's happening in a relationship that involves sex, then in that sense it's extraneous. But it is not extraneous unto itself.
Yes.
It can be used in many ways beneficially for the alignment and raising of vibrations and bondings and connections that are extremely spiritual in nature.
Okay.
But it depends on how it's used and with what intention. If there is subterfuge, if there is clarity, if there is hidden secrets, if there is lack of communication, if there is intent to trick, if there is intent to dominate, if there is intent to control, that is extraneous sex. If it is all by consensus, if it is a play, if it is enjoyable, if it is by agreement, if it builds on each other and helps support each other and allows each other, or how many ever in the relationship, to discover more and more of who they are and supports that goal, it is being used in an appropriate manner positively in that way.
Okay, great.
At least that's our view.
That's a good view. So I had an experience during an ayahuasca ceremony
Yes.
where I went into a state that I can only explain as a sexual orgasm.
Yes.
But it was my entire body, every cell, and it was so explosive. And as I was laying there feeling this pleasure, it became very clear to me that that was my natural state.
Yes.
And that I actually could exist in that state all the time.
Yes, you could choose to. Now, do not, any of you, berate yourself if you don't. Because remember, sometimes in physical reality, what you will create is a cyclic experience. You will create a certain state, and then it may seem as if you are falling out of that state, but that's not always for a negative reason. Remember that many times when you achieve a high level of vibration, you download a lot of information into yourself at that level. The idea then is to bring that information and ground it back to earth, and sometimes that actually requires you to lower your vibration to do so, so that it can sink in and crystallize on a different level. At the same time, recognize that what's happening is not this. What's happening is this. You are always actually climbing up, especially when you don't judge the down part of the cycle, because you're actually always landing higher than you were before, even though it may seem like you're going down. You're actually creating a rising arc. You understand?
Yes.
So, while yes, empirically, you can exist in that state all the time, it may not always feel like you're doing so because you may be using that energy for some particular purpose or work, and the focus may change in such a way as to make it seem like you're not at that level, but in many ways you actually are. You're just using it differently than you were using it a moment ago. So you don't have to judge it as being less than, just understand it as being a different application of the same energy. And then you will start to feel and recognize that you haven't really left that vibration, not very much. And that if you do so, you're doing so for a particular positive purpose. And therefore the overall energy will always rise. All right?
Yeah, so that is our natural state of being.
Yes.
Okay. I had the feeling during the process that it's me that stops it from happening.
Well, of course. As I said, however, that's not always for a negative reason.
Right.
You may just be shifting it in ways in order to apply that energy for specific kinds of tasks. Don't assume that it's for a negative reason, and you will not create it to be so.
Okay.
Do you see the difference?
Yeah, but I think that the reason that I give myself for stopping that from being is to be socially acceptable around others. Because
do you not want to be socially acceptable among beings of like vibration?
That's a good question.
Thank you. We have been known to ask them. What would you prefer? To be socially acceptable among beings that have nothing to do with your frequency? or among beings that are matching your vibration.
Yeah. Okay. So.
You get the point?
Yeah. Don't mind if I go crazy, then, everybody. Join in.
Do you understand how crazy we would look in your society? And do you
I'd love it.
understand that we don't care?
I would love it.
Why? Because we're having too much fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, here's the other side of that. The point is, what you're actually saying is you're worried you might actually do something out of integrity. The idea as the last vestige of that little negative belief is when you are truly functioning as your natural self, you will always be guided by the harmonious energy of your joy, excitement, and passion, and it will always allow you to remain in integrity in your relationships with anyone you meet, no matter what their vibration is, so that you will learn to relate to them in a loving and compassionate way. And then if, in knowing that you are doing that, they still choose to exhibit resistance or a problem or judgment against you, it's their issue, it's not your issue. Do you understand?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
You can only be responsible to them. You cannot be responsible for them. Make sense?
Yes, that's
Does
great.
this help you?
That's fantastic. So my last question is about money.
Money.
So I am at a crossroads right now where I'm
Yes. What do the road signs say?
Oh, that's a good.
What crossroads are you
Forgot to
at?
read. I have a choice to make in my career, and
Yes. And what would that be?
one of the choices requires me taking a large financial responsibility on, and I'm worried that
Why does it require you to do that?
because I would be opening a new business that would require putting out and taking loans worth thousands of dollars.
Yes. Is this the only way to act on your excitement? Are there not any other ways that your imagination can conjure up that may not necessarily require such a large monetary outlay?
Yes, there are.
Well, why don't you take those instead?
Because they're less solid, so they
What does that mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing in physical reality is solid.
Okay.
Are you just afraid?
I feel like I have so much emotions around both decisions that I can't, and it was interesting what you were talking about earlier for me about just relaxing.
Yes.
I haven't been able to relax my energetic body enough to actually hear the truth of which choice is the correct road.
But is it not obvious? You have just answered the question. You already have within your imagination the recognition that there may be ways to act on your excitement that don't necessarily put you in financial straits. And by not putting yourself in financial straits, what you're doing is honoring your old belief system that says you're not sure that you can move in that direction without strapping yourself. So don't. Allow yourself to act in the direction of the things that do not, in that sense, put you in financial straits until such time as you are emboldened enough by the feedback you get of the reality that represents your joy that it shows you through synchronicity that you can actually do other things in other ways if you would like to. But you don't always necessarily need to. What is preventing you from acting on the opportunities that don't require such a large financial outlay?
There's smaller opportunities.
What does that mean?
They would
Are they representative of your excitement?
not as much.
Not as much. All right, I'll put it this way. Remember that when we talked about the idea of acting on your excitement, the full phrase is this. Act at every moment to the best of your ability on the things that excite you the most to the degree you are capable of taking action on them. So, if the thing that you say excites you the most doesn't come with, in your present belief system, an ability to take full action on it, then look around for the next most exciting thing you're actually capable of taking full action on. And that will let you know that by acting on that thing you're able to take action on, it is actually connected to the other thing and might get you there through another route you didn't expect. It might bring you what you need in a way you didn't imagine. Do you follow?
Yeah.
So you yourself are saying the thing that excites you the most with your present belief system, you're unable to take full action on without fear. Therefore, you need to back up and look at what does excite you, you are able to take full action on. That's the one to take first. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great.
Then it will be a stepping stone for you. You will gain experience. You will gain confidence. You will start to learn how to attract other things. And you may also relax your expectation that you need symbols of a certain type in order to get where you're going. Again, remember, abundance is the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. It doesn't always mean money is the easiest way. Can your imagination conjure up another way in which the thing you say is the most exciting thing could actually happen without all the monetary outlay? Is your imagination capable of imagining any scenario in which you could do that thing in the way you say you want to without requiring quite so much money?
Yes.
And what would one way be?
Well, finding someone else who already has an established building that I could move into. It's a building that I'm talking about, so it would be finding someone else with a building.
So you are saying that it is possible to attract someone who can actually provide you some of what you need. Well, why don't you do that? Why aren't you open to believing that that's possible? Why isn't that part of your excitement? If that's the way that it excites you most to do it, why isn't that a real choice? Why isn't that a reality? Why isn't that a possibility to you?
Because then you have to depend on someone else's integrity.
So you are saying that the only possible people you could attract into such a scenario are people who you cannot trust the integrity of? What kind of a belief system are you working with here?
An old one?
An old one. One that is depreciating you. You see where we're going? What you need to work on first is an appreciation of yourself before you can attract the symbols of appreciation into your reality. Right now, you are saying the only kind of help you can attract is something you cannot trust. Work on the beliefs that underlie that, and you will clarify the issue to the point where the synchronicity in your life can begin to show you that you can attract what you need and that you can trust it. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good day, Bashar.
And you good day.
First of all, I just want to express to you that it's truly an honor to engage in this interaction with you.
It is also an honor for us. We thank you.
Well, I can't believe I'm actually here asking you.
I can't believe you are either.
I have two questions for you. The first of which being, my entire life, literally my entire life, as far back as I can remember, I've been obsessed with literally obsessed with coming into contact with extraterrestrials.
Oh, so
and
now you have.
And now, yeah, I know that's.
So now what will you do?
Well, aside from be really nervous right now.
Nervous? Why are you nervous?
I don't know. I can't explain it. But the question is we label different encounters as different. Like, for example, a physical encounter would be, obviously, you probably know, we'd call a close encounter of the third kind.
We understand the nomenclature.
So what I'm asking is what can I do, if anything? Is there anything I can do to increase the likelihood of having the close encounter of the third kind?
We have already told you all what to do.
Acting on my highest excitement, since that's my highest.
Because again, these kinds of appointments were already arranged long ago. All you have to do is become the person with whom the appointment was made.
I feel as if I've been that person, though, like my whole life.
Has it happened?
No, it hasn't. That's
Then
why I'm confused.
By definition, you see, there's no confusion here. As we said earlier, by definition, your reality has reflected to you that you're not that person yet. So stop worrying about it. In fact, worrying why you're not that person yet is what makes you not that person yet. Now, you are having this encounter.
Yeah.
This shows you that your belief system is open enough to start the ball rolling. In time, and in timing, as you have arranged it, when it is appropriate, no matter what your ego thinks you're ready for, obviously it knows, the higher self knows, the arrangement knows, you're not ready yet. When the timing is correct, it will be the timing that will serve you and everyone else best. You must trust the timing of the appointments you've made and not attempt to hurry them up, or you will miss them.
Is perhaps the process of seeking to hurry them up part of making them happen?
Only in the context of accelerating them by accelerating yourself by acting on your passion and not worrying about whether they happen or not.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
That's the process of accelerating them.
Okay. Okay.
So that's the paradox. You accelerate the timing by not worrying about the timing.
Yeah.
By staying in the now, focusing in the now, because where do you think the meeting's going to take place?
I have absolutely no idea.
Now.
Oh,
it's
as far
going
as
to take
timing
place
goes, yeah.
in the now.
As everything
so the more
does, yeah.
you are in the now, the easier it will be for us to find you, because we only live in the now. If you're not living in the now, we can't find you. Where'd he go? I don't know. He was here a minute ago, but he's not here now.
Well, thank you very much for that.
Does that help?
Yes, very much so.
All
It
right.
does.
And?
Lastly, I know that you're familiar with the law of one raw material.
Yes.
Correct, yeah. So what I was wondering is, in relation to that, how is it, how, from your perspective, is it that the universe or creation goes about creating a new consciousness, or does that happen? Like, for example, in the law of one, what they explain is that from density to density, first, second to third to fourth, the consciousness evolves.
Well,
To the
from a
point of
linear
self-awareness.
perspective, yes, that's a real experience. But you must understand, it isn't this or that, it's this and that. All ways in which you can imagine the idea of a new perspective coming into being can occur. And remember, the idea of a beginning and an ending occurs within creation that's eternal and infinite. So the idea is subject to creation. Creation is not subject to that idea of a beginning and an ending. So anything can happen in creation that can be expressed as the experience of a beginning, even the idea of the experience of the beginning of a new consciousness. But that's still happening within a creation, within an overall consciousness that always exists and has no beginning and no end.
Okay.
Does that make sense in your language?
Yes, it does. It
All
does.
right.
I was trying to specifically, though, go into how it occurs on our planet from species to species. Like what I was saying was that in the law of one, what it says is that we begin as, for example, elements on the planet, and then once we're ready to...
No. Again,
okay.
it's a linear perspective analogy.
Okay.
It's not that such an experience can't be had by the soul.
I see.
But it's still all happening at once.
Yes.
And it's just the soul deciding it wants to have a certain experience. And so in that reality, it can be viewed from that linear perspective in an evolutionary process. And that's a real experience, but it doesn't mean that that doesn't already exist at once.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, no, I understood that philosophy before, but for some reason I was failing to apply it to that particular...
It all just comes down to the idea that different kinds of experiences, any kind of an experience that can be imagined, can be created and experienced. But it's just an experience. It doesn't make it unreal, because that's all that is real, is the experience. But it also doesn't mean that those things don't already exist.
Yeah.
It's just that they're creating an experience as if it's happening that way, and even creating an experience that it's happening for the first time, even though it already exists.
So then that means that from incarnation to incarnation...
Which all exists simultaneously.
Simultaneously. So, but then when, say for example, when I die, when this body dies, I could be incarnated as something that I would now perceive as the past.
Yes, you can have that experience. At the same time, you must recognize that that so-called past life exists right now.
It does, yeah.
And therefore, it's not really you.
Yeah. Yeah, but at the same time, as you explained yesterday, all the
Yes.
extensions of our oversoul.
Yes, and again, of course, that is also a hierarchical euphemism. Because again, it's just a convenient way to describe something
Yeah.
that is essentially all coexistent simultaneously as one idea. But yes, we understand what you mean by it, and the experience, the description of the experience is real.
Mm-hmm.
Nevertheless, that doesn't cancel out the fact that it all exists at once. All right?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
Good to be speaking with you again.
Thank you. And you as well.
Thank you. The first question that I have is with regard to a specific being known as Kaela, who came in contact with the U.S. government, as I understand it, and specifically Majestic 12, and Dan Burish. Are you familiar with...
We understand what you are referring
Yes.
to. We may not be allowed to discuss much of this.
Okay. I was wondering, because as I understand it, this being is a hybrid between gray and human, or was?
Yes.
Okay. But not Esasani, is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay. How many such hybrid races or civilizations are there between gray and 5? Interesting.
The number of humanity.
Ah.
We are one. Yael are another. There are 3 more.
So the first that we will be coming in contact with are also gray and human hybrid.
Yes, the Yael.
I see. Is that the same as the Anunnaki or no?
No.
Okay.
Very different beings.
I understand. Okay. And the Phoenix Lights ship, was that?
Yael.
Okay.
As we said, they are showing you their ships to get you used to their presence.
Well, I thank them for that.
They thank you as well. There will be more sightings.
My other question is with regard to the individual who has only revealed himself as Victor, who has also witnessed an extraterrestrial being and had some contact working or otherwise being in the Area 51 facility. I was wondering if that is Kaela or if that is a different or was a different being.
Different.
Okay. Are you able to comment on how many beings have been on Earth and in contact with governments here?
Of any type?
Well, I suppose there have probably been many over the span of human history, but
Yes.
in let's say the past 100 years.
17.
Okay. And were those mostly gray, mostly hybrids?
We are not counting the grays.
I see, because they are from Earth
Parallel
originally.
reality Earth.
Yes.
Mutated human.
Okay. And are you able to comment on Timeline 1 and Timeline 2 as Burish describes? And
What do you wish to know about it?
Well, he seems to be very concerned about it, in the sense that he seems to think that there is potentially a risk, although he thinks we're on the right track, as I understand it, there could be a risk to go to what would be a timeline that wouldn't be preferential. But as you explain, as long as we are in our vibration of highest joy, we need not be concerned about which
Correct.
reality we'll end up in.
Correct. The more time you spend worrying about whether you're on a preferential timeline, that tells you you're not on the one you prefer.
Right. So basically,
It's as simple as that.
there's really nothing to be worried about, right?
It is no more complicated than that unless you want it to be.
Okay.
Does that help you?
Yes.
Thank you.
And I made an observation about the Greys and their interactions with humans.
Yes.
That they seem to have a need for control of the situation in any abduction experiences
No.
or any...
You need.
I see. Okay.
Because if, in that sense, they did not exercise the idea of the freezing of the shift in the dimension, you by being shifted without that kind of freezing control, would possibly wind up in some other dimension out of control. Because you don't know how to navigate that way instinctively. So they are assisting by, in a sense, boxing you into a certain reality which feels like the idea of control. We understand.
Yeah.
But it's being done to prevent you from, shall we say, shooting off into another reality.
I see. Is that sort of what happened during the Montauk Project to some extent with dimensional shifting? And
Of a different nature.
okay.
But similar
Okay.
in principle.
And the Greys, do they not seem? I mean, it seems like they don't want to look at human emotion or understand.
They do not have the capacity any longer to process that. At least not the earlier ones. Some of the later ones do.
I see.
The agenda has changed.
Yeah. It seems to me, this is my impression, correct me if I'm wrong, but they have had the, I guess, opportunities to relate to humans and try to understand more about the emotional process, but have avoided it. Is that correct?
Once again, I will repeat, because what you have just asked is actually the same question in a different clothing. The idea is they have over time made adjustments in the recognition that adjustments needed to be made in order to communicate with the humans of this reality in a more productive manner.
I see.
But the idea is that initially, in the mutation that they suffered, they eliminated the ability to emotionally relate to you. It wasn't that they were withholding intentionally. They did not have the capacity for emotional processing. Do you understand?
Yes.
Therefore, in recognizing that they were missing that component, some of the hybridization techniques and genetic alterations were done on themselves to make them more capable of understanding and processing the emotional capacities that they had mutated out of themselves so that they could work with you more closely in a more productive and compatible way.
Yes.
That's why the agenda has changed over time.
Okay. Well, I thank them for their adjustments and and communication, I suppose.
Yes. Thank you.
And I guess the on a final note, I was wondering if you could share with us about how old the Essassani civilization is, and what types of changes have occurred since its conception to where you are presently, what you've learned, just in summary. I know it's a very large topic, but
we were much more similar to your civilization at one time in terms of the way our culture functioned. We were allowed to develop and evolve through a variety of historical epochs, so to speak. The idea, of course, is that we were always harmonious in general, but we did experience certain kinds of negative phenomenology early in our history that we were given an opportunity to transform. The idea, in a sense, is that we are about 3,000 years ahead of you. You understand?
Yes.
Functionally speaking. Because even though you might think our dimension is only off by a vibration of 300 years, we are, in that sense, operating at a dimensional frequency 10 times faster than your own.
Okay.
So the idea is that we used to have what you would consider to be simple technologies, things like sailboats and such. We used to suffer from disease. We used to have corporeal sex. We used to eat. We used to sleep.
Oh, okay.
No more. Now we have evolved to the idea of being less physical and more energetic, quasi-physicality, which means we do not eat, we do not sleep. The idea of joining is an energy act. The idea of allowing new beings to be born on our planet is something that is created out of the idea of an energy field that they solidify in at the age of 3. Therefore, you will find that we are now quite different from your society, even though We were allowed to experience certain ideas to allow us to overcome and transform similar things to what you have experienced, but never to the degree of limitation that you experienced.
I see. Has it been a lot of fun?
Yes.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much for your sharing. Oh, one final question. It's a quick one. We have this software now on Earth called Google Earth.
Yes.
And it has a space view where you can look at all the stars and constellations and so on.
Yes.
Would you be able to give coordinates for Essassani?
We have said, in that sense, that we are in another dimensional plane, so you cannot see our star from your dimension. You would have to make a vibrational shift in order to see our version of the galaxy. But to overlap our galaxy with yours from dimension to dimension, our solar system is approximately 500 light years in the direction of the Orion constellation. All right?
Okay. Thank you very much.
That is our coordinates.
Okay. Thank you, Bashar.
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And a you good day.
First of all, happy Father's Day.
We thank you.
And thank you so much for the sharing today, this weekend. I had a question. I recently saw a researcher named David Jacobs who does hypnotic regressions.
Yes.
And he said that the abductees that he's been working with for the last couple of years are almost all telling him that when they're being abducted, the Greys are asking them detailed questions. They've informed him that some of the hybrids are so human-looking
Yes.
that many are living here amongst us right now.
Well, now and then there are practice runs, but that's the next phase of the agenda, is acclimatization to your society so that the hybrid children can start to learn to live among you.
Well, that falls in then with my question, because he said that the kinds of things that the Greys are doing is that instead of the fertilization process, they're asking detailed questions like, what is a picnic, and what exactly do you do in a picnic, and what is a post office, and how do you
Yes.
mail a letter, and detailed things that it's a little scary in a way.
Why is it scary?
Well, it's
Are not those the kind of things that you yourself would ask if you were visiting a foreign country and knew not their customs and their ways?
Okay.
And wanted to learn? Would you not say, how do you mail your letters? Where do you have your post offices? Do you have post offices? What is this called? What is that called? How do you do this? How do you do that? Would you not do the same thing?
Yes, and
Yes, but you still want to be scared?
No, I think this scared was the wrong word. It's more of the fine line between excitement, but more on the excitement line rather than the fear.
Well, then.
Because I'm looking forward to working with them, and we've discussed that in the past.
All right.
So I'm looking more for a timeline and an idea of how this is going to progress in the future, or the
We
now.
have already given you the basic timeline window. You will find that the idea of acclimatization will begin to manifest itself sometime between 2025 and 2033. After open contact is made, in that sense, when people start meeting their children, then you will find that acclimatization will begin to occur in isolated areas on your planet. That will allow the children the best opportunity to acclimatize to your society so that they can begin to live among you for those that will have them.
So are the Greys basically focusing totally on this acclimatization process rather than the fertilization, reproductive
It is
process?
now the majority of the agenda.
Great.
The vast majority of the agenda. It is no longer necessary for the idea of continued hybridization.
And how many generations of hybrids are now in existence through the Greys?
30.
Wow. And for myself, my own particular hybrid children were in the first generation?
No.
Can you give me an idea of which one?
They began in the 17th.
Okay. And roughly when I was through the reproductive time in my life, right?
Roughly.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. One moment. One moment. One moment. No further data is available through this terminal. We will at this time extend to each and every one of you our deepest appreciation for the co-creation of this interaction. We must now be on about the business in our part of the agenda as you begin to play your part as well. The timing is such that it works best for both. we extend to you our unconditional love and deep gratitude for allowing us to experience you in this way. We thank you for allowing us to be your children and for allowing us to also guide you as a parent would. We thank you for being part of our family, and we will meet again. Good day.
This interaction by strongly suggesting that each and every one of you begin to allow the unknown to become your best friend. Each and every one of you will begin to realize more and more individually at different rates that when we talk about the idea of going forward with intention to create the reality you want, yet at the same time go forward without expectation at all that that reality you envision must come into manifestation exactly as you see it, what you are doing is learning to trust the whole concept of the unknown, allowing the unknown to be a large portion of your life, to be the mechanism itself, the space itself, the dimension itself in which all that you wish to manifest can be manifested, even though it may not always be exactly as you imagined to begin with. The unknown has always been there for you to help you bring about those things that you want more easily, more effortlessly, more readily. Yet your society for thousands of years has declared the unknown as an anathema, as something to be afraid of, as something to be avoided at all costs, to spend much time planning, making sure that exactly this and exactly that will go exactly this way and that way, to plan every single detail out so that you will know every single step in all of its aspects before you are even willing to take that step. Yet now, in this day and age on your planet, the unknown is becoming more familiar to more of you as that quality that will allow you to actually arrive where you want to arrive more easily than all the planning, all the detailing that you have done in the past. As we have reminded you of the saying upon your planet that if you want to make God laugh, make a plan. For things never really go as you expect, so why keep insisting that they should? Life knows how to work. Life does work. You all are masters at allowing life to work. But now you're remembering that that's how it happens. That's how it comes about. That you let it come about. You don't have to make it come about. You let life grow. Let it occur in its natural way. Rather than thinking you have to force everything into position before anything can happen. Rather than thinking that this has to be set up just this way, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, before I can ever arrive at what I want to arrive at. But there is a natural order to things. You have heard that phrase in your language, the natural order of things. Yet few of you ever take advantage of the natural order of things. By allowing yourself of what you desire, of what you find joyful and exciting. That's all well and good. But that push is all that's necessary, just as you push a boat onto the ocean. You may have a general idea of the course you want to take, but as any of you know who are sailors, it is very rare that you can stick precisely to that course without varying a little bit here and there, without allowing for the unexpected gust of wind to come along. Be prepared to accept the unknown as the shortest route, no matter how long it takes. Because in the unknown are all the currents that bring you really bring you what you need according to the idea you have set out to be, will guide you unerringly. Even if it may seem to be taking you off course, go with the flow of your life. Accept and embrace the unknown as that which contains all the things you are not capable of imagining, yet it is your higher imagination. The unknown is your repository of all the things that your physical mind cannot imagine, yet it is contained within you. You contain all of that. It's not outside you. That's why you have feared the unknown, because you think it is chaos. It is outside you. It represents being out of control, things beyond your control, when in fact everything that could possibly happen within the unknown is within you. It's within your dimension of the imagination, but the greater imagination, the larger you. That's all the unknown is the larger imagination repository of all possible realities, all possible ways, all possible methods that could more easily fall into place according to the vibration you have set your intention to be. Open up to the unknown, and you will simply be opening up to your larger resources of probability and imagination. It is not really unknown to you ultimately. It is merely temporarily hidden from you because of the nature of your physiological reality and the limitations imposed upon it. But it is not really unknown to you. Learn to trust its flow. Learn to trust its currents. Learn to trust the vibration of the unknown as simply a repository of surprise, to delight you, to enlighten you, to entertain you, and allow you more insight into the grand scale on which you really operate. You are never really out of control, never really out of touch. Let yourself trust that the currents of the ocean of your imagination will unerringly guide you to exactly where you need to be. And remember, you don't really go anywhere anyway. You are always right here, always right now. And all these currents that may seem to take you to faraway places and faraway experiences and unexpected surprises, all of that's going on within you. Not outside you, within you. Only appears to be going on outside you because that's the game of physical life. It's just a reflective mirror, but it's all going on within you. Those currents, therefore, are simply currents, ripples, that are the result of your own interactions with yourself, with other portions of yourself as you have created yourself to be in various portions. The unknown is simply the unknown you. It's still all you. It is simply that larger portion of the total you are forgetting about. That's all the unknown is. It's always going to be you. No matter what you discover it to be, it's always going to be another variation of you. In another form, in another disguise, in other clothing, in other words, in another style, in another culture, in another way of expressing yourself. It's all you. Doing a dance, a different dance. That's all it is. So let it be your friend. It will serve you very well. Don't be afraid of the unknown. Otherwise, you're just afraid of yourself. And that's all it is. Be delighted and surprised by how much you contain. When you discover something you didn't know before, be delighted and surprised by how much, how multidimensional, how universal, how infinite is the experience of your life. That would be our suggestion for how to make the unknown your best friend. And so we thank you for allowing us to reflect this concept to you this day. From our civilization to yours, our gratitude. At this time, once again we ask, in return for the gift of allowing us to experience you, how may we serve you at this time?